Time for Hope.
All right. So for my proposal, I came up with an on-campus composting program. And I found that the cafeteria has an average of 1,500 pounds a week of food waste. And I decided I wanted to incorporate Omega into the composting ways as well. And so I took all the students who live in the suites, which is either 4 or 5, and all of them on average produce 367 pounds a week. So I took those two sources and multiplied it by 30 weeks, because that's what's usually in a school year, and those sources emit 6.5 metric tons of methane a year if they go to a landfill. And then, because you need yard waste combined with food waste to make nutrient-rich compost, I went and talked to the grounds maintenance supervisor. He said that they fill up 230 cubic yard dumpsters of grass, yard trimmings, and leaves a week. So that's the amount in pounds that are in those dumpsters. And so that creates 20 metric tons of methane emissions per school year if those go to the landfills as well. So those are just the totals on the bottom, and the CO2 equivalent, to just put it in a better perspective, is 2,973 metric tons a year, because both of those gases are more harmful to the environment than carbon dioxide. So because you can use compost as an alternative to fertilizer, I found in the greenhouse gas inventory report that Eckerd produces 0.2 metric tons of nitrous oxide from fertilizer use. So that's equivalent to 60 metric tons. And with all this information, I decided to create a composting program. So I thought it could start out with 1 month of education about the composting program, so multiple emails, flyers in mailboxes, flyers on doors, and then with the numbers I showed you earlier, just about the pounds a year and a week, I came up with 12 compost tumblers that would be sufficient to use. And they'll be placed close to the campus garden. And then 1 compost tumbler can be put behind the cafeteria for the simple fact that it's easier to put it in there, and they have much more waste coming in than Omega. So then, after this 1 month of education, all the residents in Omega will be aware that they're going to receive a 2-gallon compost pail, which have lids, and so they'll also receive a flyer that has all the materials you can and cannot compost, and they won't be subjected to bad smells, because collection and composting will happen every Monday and Thursday. And during those times, the students, like composting club students, will go to the cafeteria and take that waste from the day. And then I decided I only could manage half of all of that yard waste, because 31,000, it was just like way too much. So the ground maintenance workers, instead of putting it in the dumpster, would bring it over to a wire enclosed composting system near the tumblers as well. And because we have such an abundance of yard waste, it would be easy to pick and choose the best materials for the decomposition process. So all those tumblers together have a total capacity of 19,500 pounds of unfinished compost. And the uses would be for the garden, landscape, and compost tea. And this is really cool because it can be homemade. So 300 gallons of compost tea can be made every 5 weeks. And I just did this by using like a 55-gallon trash can. And so you can take the compost, put it in a burlap sack, and let it stew in there. For every 1 part of compost, it's 5 parts of water. And you can go to the next slide. I invested in a compost tea sprayer, because what the maintenance people said is that when they do fertilize, like every 2 to 4 times a year, they have these sprayers because they have to do massive areas, of course. And so this sprayer holds up to 300 gallons and has a very long hose. I think it's like 500 feet, so they can just apply the fertilizer to the grounds like that instead of using chemical fertilizer. So yearly emission reductions is 6.5 metric tons of methane and 0.2 metric tons of nitrous oxide. And there is the carbon dioxide equivalent per year. And this is the budget, and it's still a little steep, but the trash cans will be needed for collection in the CAF, and to take around Omega, and the compost pail lids and educational signs in the cafeteria for above the 2 compost bins that'll go in there. So that's my program.